Good morning, everybody. Orange J here with another Etheria restart video, and today we are going to talk about one of the most exciting things coming to this Etheria restart beta, and that's this right here. It's the targeted summon banner. We're all going to have access to this, and within our first 40 pulls on the banner, we are guaranteed to get one of these SSRs of choice. Now, the beauty of this, because we've all probably seen select character banners before, the beauty here is they're adding the new characters to it. Now, Freya, before I go on, Freya, right here, the first featured character in the game, she's not on there. If you want her in the beta, you're either going to have to pull for her on her featured banner, or you could just luck out and somehow get her on the permanent summon. She is in that pool. We are focused on this targeted summon banner, and it includes the other new SSR characters that have been added to the game, characters that, like, even beta testers like like me, the other people, we haven't had experience with them yet. You're Rosas of the world, but a character like Rosa looks insane if you want to pick her, and I'm going to talk more about her in a second, spoiler alert. She's going to be on this banner. So I'm going to give you my top 5 targets for this beta, and they're my top 5 targets based on how I think you should approach this beta and based on which characters I think are the strongest that you deserve, your account deserves to give them a try before the game comes out. Okay, that's enough messing around. Let's jump in. Now, I want to start by saying the new characters, nobody really knows a ton about them yet. We know what their kits do, but like complicated team building comps in game, nobody really knows it. If you feel like trying a new character for the sake of trying one, absolutely go for it. In terms of the new characters in this video, I am going to focus on Rosa a little bit more here in a minute. Like, she's on my top 5 list because I think she could be nuts. But I want to lead off. I'm going to start at the beginning. I'm going to start with Hellkid. This is like a proven OP character in this game. And I took, because I'm a boomer person, I write things down on paper. That's what us old people do. Hellkid is all about a mechanic. It's his Shroud Barrier. So if we come in here, if you look at his ult, Shroud Barrier right here, his ult, a Shroud Barrier appears, words, behind Hellkid, unleashing an anima torrent that crystallizes into countless spikes raining down from above. It deals 3 hits of 110% damage to all enemies. Now, that's not like OP damage, and it's AoE damage, so you're like, I'm not seeing it yet, but it's applying the Shroud Barrier equal to 240% of attack to all allies. Shroud Barrier absorbs an equal amount of damage and grants immunity against all debuffs. That is very, very powerful. In like all forms of content, that's very powerful. Now, I don't think he's as good in PvP as he is in PvE, and a lot of this video is going to talk about like how you want to experience this game, but this dude is going to help you clear like all forms of content. After that, like if we go back a skill to one of his not ultimate skills, Crystal Spike consolidates a giant spike that instantly pierces the ground behind the target, 300% damage to all enemies, 100% chance to inflict attack down, so minus 40% attack. This will help you clearing like really hard PvE content, and there's a lot of boss fights in this game. The bosses do usually have ads with them, so AoE damage in those boss fights isn't bad, and debuffing their attack, those dudes hit hard, so attack debuffing them is good. And guess what? If Hellkid has Shroud Barrier, which, if you cast this first, then do this, he still might have Shroud Barrier, 50% of the damage dealt will be added to the Shroud Barrier up to a max of 150 zone attack. So he has a way of like maintaining the Shroud Barrier, and then crucially, this is a skill that will help him in both PvE and PvP if he's able to land it and apply the debuff. So Shadow Briar, he crystallizes several dark spikes behind his shoulders, shoots them at the target, 240% damage with a 50% chance to inflict a 1-turn stun. Stun is busted. Like, making somebody skip a turn is insane in a turn-based game, and that chance goes to 100% if he has his Shroud Barrier up. So this guy is all about get your Shroud Barriers up, keep your Shroud Barriers up, and then try to like stun bosses or stun other people in PvE, stun other things in PvP, maybe switch, I might have said that backwards. Anyway, Hellkid is somebody who, if you go for him, if you like his look, if you think you want to play with this guy, he's going to make your account really powerful. I don't think you can go wrong with that pick. And my 1 through 5 list is in no particular order. I think it more depends on like what you're aiming to do with your account. Hellkid is somebody who I think is just a safe, strong pick that everybody could start the game off with and feel good about. Okay, the next one on my list is one of the new characters, Rosa. And like I mentioned before, like when I'm talking about these new characters, purely hypothetical, right? I've consumed a lot of content about this game. I've played the beta. This is my thoughts with Rosa. And to me, she looks like somebody who's going to be insane as like a boss fighter, but like, I don't know if during the beta she will like I think the potential for this character is insane. So let me go through it. Her ult, AoE, Grand Hunt. Say hello to the Grand Hunt. She sharpens her blade, 2-turn crit up to all allies. A lot of DPS characters are going to go for crits. This is like, we've seen that across games a bunch of times. Giving crit up to your team is going to be really, really good. And it's something that I think will help her in the earlier parts of the game. Like giving your other DPS characters, everybody else in your group, crit up does give her some like early game functionality. Okay, then she'll deal 3 hits of damage to all enemies, with crit having a 40% chance to inflict speed down. So speed manipulation, turn order manipulation is going to be huge in this game. So she can do a crit buff, she can manipulate speed. I think that's really good, but she's a character whose ult is not like the story of her kit. It's really her passive, where I think like once you get her fully built, I could see her just popping off with this. And of the new characters that aren't Freya, because I think Freya looks like the best of the new characters, it's not a surprise to me that she's the first featured character, like first banner of her own. But the Stalker, this looks like a really good move. So the Iron Flower blooms each time Rosa lands a crit, which she will be critting a lot, especially considering her own buff. If the target's not afflicted with Blade Heart Bloom, she inflicts a 1-turn Blade Heart Bloom. So she's going to give it to him. This is what that does. Takes 15% extra damage from basic attacks when the carrier takes a crit. So when the person inflicted with this is crit upon as the main target of the attack, she follow-up attacks with a basic attack. So you build her into this like basic attacking monster, and then whenever your teammates are critting and she will help them crit, she comes in and punches them. So it's like it's so much like, I see the power here of like an in-game boss killing unit where like, boom, you're attacking the boss, boom, she attacks him, boom, boom. It just like ups the damage so much, or at least in theory, to me, it will. And I think her kit looks really cool. And one thing to keep in mind when you're playing these games, like unless you're going to be rank 1, if your goal is rank 1, follow the meta as hard as you can. If your goal is to just enjoy the game and have fun, pick characters that you think look awesome. Shall I get my camera out of the way? I don't think it would help, but you know what? There, that's just her. She looks awesome, right? So, okay, that's one of the reasons I'd like her. And then her last move is Insane Crash. With boosted Fighting Spirit, she deals 3 hits of 70 damage to a single enemy. If she crits on her final hit, which you're probably going to do, 50% chance to reduce the target's turn meter. So even more turn manipulation right there, especially going to be good. Like, slow the bosses down. Give the bosses less turns. I think Rosa deserves a look out of all of the newer units, but there's, you know, like I said, that's purely speculation at this point. I just like Rosa a lot. Okay, the next one I want to talk about is one of the characters I personally have the most experience with, and that's Tiamat. So with Tiamat, it's just easy mode. Like, for PvE content, I actually don't know that Tiamat is like going to be busted in PvP. I used her in PvP on the beta servers, but like, it wasn't hardcore. Right? Like, especially by the time I got into the beta, which was a little bit late, like it didn't feel like a thriving PvP seed because there just wasn't that many people participating. I personally have some doubts about her viability in like in-game super meta PvP. But in PvE, in pushing the content in this game, boss fighting, like most all forms of PvE, this girl will just make your life easy. So her ult is a taunt. It's an AoE taunt. She consumes her own life and she scales off of HP, which like you want to build a ton of HP on this girl because like her losing and gaining HP and taking hits will help her build into her ultimate form. So that makes her really new player friendly because you just build her to try not to die and she wants to be manipulating her life. You'll see. So she consumes her own life to empower her spear, throws it to penetrate enemies, consumes 30% of her own HP, 2 hit damage equal to 10% of her max HP, so there's that HP scaling, to all enemies with a 50% chance to inflict a 1-turn taunt. So she's going to taunt people, they'll attack her. Y'all know what taunt is. That's really powerful, right? This allows maybe some of your squishier members to stay alive, all of those things. She further helps the rest of your team stay alive with a group shield and heal. So it's a region more than a heal, but Tiamat establishes a mental bond with allies, consumes 25% of her own HP, so there's more of that like HP loss thing going on, and applies a 2-turn hot and shield to allies. The shield equals 120% of HP consumed. For every 1 stack of bloodshed Tiamat has, the shield amount goes up 5%. Bloodshed, each stack increases healing received by 4% up to 6 stacks. So Bloodshed is going to be a mechanic that she can stack up, will increase the healing she receives. So as she goes down and up in HP, the ups continue to be more powerful. Look, guys, just trust me. This chick makes your teams really hard to kill unless you let her get blown up. She does need a big HP pool and some defensive stats to do her job. And then Thunder Spear, her single target attack, swings her spear to pierce the target, 2 hits of damage equal to 10% of her max HP to a single enemy. She consumes 8% of her current HP with each hit, adding true damage, that's nice, equal to 100% of the consumed amount. Mother of Evolution. Now, here's where we get into her ultimate form. There was a lot of times I didn't want her to be in her ultimate form. I find that kind of awkward. It's one of the things I think maybe not being able to pick when she goes into her ult is maybe something that holds her back from being like the ultimate character in the game. But here you go. She shares 20% of damage taken by other allies for every 13% max HP lost. So max HP lost, not damage taken, max HP lost, but that's an important thing. Or healed, gains 1 stack of Bloodshed. When Bloodshed gets to 8 stacks, she goes into her ultimate form, healing 30% of her max HP and immediately gaining a turn. Now, in her ultimate form, she only does this giant AoE attack. That's what she does. She just spams this over and over again. 15% of her max HP to all enemies, an additional true damage equal to 13% of her current HP, and heals herself. So just a really hard to kill unit that will do a lot of damage for you, and it provides shields and healing to your team. It's kind of like a backup support. She does a lot of damage, really hard to kill, makes life easy for you. And to get to the end game, you have to push through the whole game. She's going to be a character that will really, really help you do that. Especially if you're planning on like saving for a future character upon release, maybe see if Tiamat's the girl for you. And then once again, you know, if looks get kills, chick looks pretty awesome. Okay, the next one I want to mention, and we will get to some PvP units because that's a big thing for me. I want to mention Rahu. Rahu is another character that's going to make killing hard stuff better. Like, your team's going to be better at killing hard things like PvE bosses and such with Rahu. Now, I do have some questions personally about his like PvP viability. I do think he'll be good in PvP, but maybe not one of like those best PvP units. We'll see. I'm sure people will try it, but this dude seems like the ultimate like I want to beat hard mode stuff. Okay, so first of all, he will make your team a lot harder to kill. Flame Authority, to receive without giving is discourtesy. Rahu inflicts a 2-turn defense up, 60% defense buff to all allies and gains 3 stacks of Wrath. Then deals damage equal to 60% of his defense to all enemies. So he's going to scale off his own defense. He's going to give a defense buff to your team, and he'll stack up his Wrath. Let's read what Wrath does. Each stack increases his defense by 4% up to 12. This cannot be dispelled. After an ally attacks, 50% chance to assist, consuming a stack of Wrath. Transfer 1 debuff from the assisted ally to the target at 4 stacks. So if your guy attacking has a debuff, he'll take it off, boom, pop it on the boss. I got this guy late into my beta playthrough, and like my team was immediately just better, right? Like at pushing boss modes and stuff, like farming, stuff like that. Farming hard content. So let's keep reading. Consumes 1 more stack of Wrath from the assist ally to transfer 1 extra debuff at 6 stacks for every 4% of defense self has above the targets. Increase the final damage dealt by the basic attack by 1% at 8 stacks. So he scales, right? Off his defense, off his Wrath stacks. Now, his passive, Wrathful Form. Rahu presents a guest welcome. At the start of the battle, he gains 3 stacks of Wrath. During battle, if Rahu is able to take action, for every 4 actions taken by other allied animuses, he gains 1 stack of Wrath. Additionally, if other allied animuses do not use attack skills during their turn, he has a 60% chance to gain another stack. So if like you have another support in your team, he has a chance to stack up his passive, ramp himself up a little faster. That's cool. Like, you know, that's just a passive ability, so you have to do anything with it. And then this is the other part of his kit. Maybe the part that people don't talk about enough is like his ult is cool for 4-turn cooldown. You kind of have to time that to make sure your defense up buff stays, you know, on all the time. But on a 0-turn cooldown, he just spam this all the time. Decrease defense by 60%. Y'all have played games before. When you're fighting something that's really hard to kill, lowering their defense is a good way to do it. So 320% damage to a single enemy, 60% chance to inflict a 1-turn defense down by 60%. So you want to apply that, right? Getting that on the boss or whatever hard thing you're fighting is going to be a big deal. I think he's like a PvE boss fighting monster. Okay, now I want to switch gears just a little bit. I'm now going to talk about the characters that I actually plan on picking. That was like those last three I gave, I think are excellent choices for people who want to experience this game in the beta and push through the PvE part of the game as hard as they can. I want to now give a couple PvP suggestions. The first one I want to give, and a character I'm really considering, but is currently in like, I know I said top 5. This is a double. You're gonna get a double here because I can't decide between these two. Lilith is gonna be the first one. PvP young goddess. And honestly, you talk about like picking a character based on how they look. It kind of drives me away from the lowly characters because yeah, I don't know. But look at this chick's kit for PvP. All right, her ultimate. Tea time. Her doll, this floating scary guy, reveals its true form, launches a surprise attack, dealing damage equal to 50% of the max HP to all enemies. There's a 100% chance to inflict graceful mischief. Graceful mischief is the key to this girl's kit on all targets that detonates after 2 turns. Now, immediately she gains 1 extra turn. So like with PvP, a lot of times gimmicks and like building like certain combos is the way you can win. So if you make her, follow me on this journey. Lilith here starts the fight off. She tea times, gives everybody this buff. She then gets an extra turn. Graceful Mischief, that debuff she just gave the whole team, explodes when it's removed, dealing indirect damage equal to 30% of her max HP. There's also a 100% chance to stun, AoE stun, the whole team. Just go AoE stun everybody. Now you're like, but Orange A, it takes 2 turns for that to go off. Oh, hold your horses. Because if you immediately get another turn, you just fire off her other move, Graceful Finale. Lilith throws explosive balloons, dealing damage equal to 20% of her max HP to all enemies. Not a ton of damage, but guess what? There's a 100% chance to lower their speed. That's good. And that's something that could give her some viability in like hard PvE as well. If you like were really only building her and some other weird stuff and you needed to use her in PvE, that could give her some use there, gets bosses and stuff. But most importantly, she'll detonate Graceful Mischief on the main target, setting turn meter back 100%. So not AoE stun the whole team yet, but on the target that she picks, you can pick somebody on the enemy team and be like, you don't get a turn. Boom. We're immediately going to detonate our Graceful Mischief there. And then later, your whole team, the rest of them are going to get stunned. This ability to like manipulate, this is kind of like, again, when you're looking to like win PvP, oftentimes you win by some like crafty build gimmick. Build her super fast, have her go first, have her eliminate some like Doki Doki or somebody on the other team from doing their thing, and then you do your thing. She has more turn manipulation here as well. Her basic attack, or her every turn move, is she commands the balloons to strike, dealing damage equal to 20% of max HP to a target. After the attack, she has a 20% chance to just go again. And if you can get lucky and proc that a few times, all of a sudden, this is only a 4-turn cooldown on tea time. If you get a few extra turns, you're reapplying this soon. Graceful Finale is also only a 4-turn cooldown. So as soon as you put this back out there, you can proc this again. This is a top tier PvP unit in my opinion, as long as you have a rest of a team that can follow up all that CC she's doing and actually kill everybody on the enemy team. So I love Lilith as a pick. She is definitely one that I would think of, but I think for me, a character that I have not gotten to play with very much, but I want to try out is Veronica. Now, let me just say, you're going to find a lot of tier lists out there that rate Veronica lower than I'm going to give her. But you know who is ahead of Himiko? Me. In Honkai Star Rail, I always thought Himiko was pretty good. I saw a lot of potential for Himiko, and of all of the starting characters in that game, Himiko kind of grew into her own pretty well. I am not saying that's going to happen with Veronica. I can't guarantee you anything like that, but I love the potential of her kit. So let me show, oh, also, I mean, my favorite looking character in the game, and that's probably why I want to force try to make her work. I don't know that she'll be very good at PvE, but when you're talking about PvE in these games, as long as you have a pretty good account, like we're all going to get access to some really good characters just for free, you could probably make most characters work. It'll just be harder. So Veronica probably fits that, but look at what she could do. Spirit Cycle. So the cycle of death and rebirth made withered flowers bloom anew. How poetic. She deals 420% damage to a single enemy with an 80% chance to steal all buffs from them. So she steals their buffs, gives them to herself, then has a 50% chance to spread her buffs to her allies. Now, one thing about that, it's not a like 50% chance to give every buff you have to every one of your allies. It's like, say you have 5, it's each one of those 5 get a 50% chance. That's actually better, because the other way, it's so all or nothing that like if you don't proc that buff spread, it's like you miss out on a lot of her kit. With the way this is, if you actually succeed in stealing 3 or 4 buffs, if you steal 3 or 4, you're gonna give probably 2 or 3 to the rest of your team. I think that's really cool. I think that's really good. And guess what? Apply a 1-turn Soul Ward. Soul Ward means you won't die, so she has a way of not dying. I really think that's neat. Like that's a fun little mechanic right there. Okay, Soul Bloom, AoE. Say the secret pairs that the delicate flower suddenly withers. Removes HP equal to 13% of Veronica's max HP from all enemies. So she does scale with her own max HP a little bit. Some people will argue that like that won't project well into the end game, because like you'd rather have an attack that was a percent HP of the enemy. You don't see a bunch of that. I like characters that you can build to survive a little bit, and that building to survive also helps her damage. She gets that. Then applies a 2-turn shield equal 24% of her max HP to all allies. This is going to be good in like all forms of the game. A big shield, it's good. It's useful. This will help her be useful in PvE as kind of a like backup support. Also note, Spirit Circles on a 4-turn cooldown. This is only on a 3. That's a lot of uptime on this shield. I think 2 turns of that shield, it wears off, boom, you pop that again. Okay, her basic attack. This is another thing that I think will help her be very useful. Like, this will keep her from being a bottom tier character in PvE. So Shadow of Roses are most enchanting. Sure, okay. She deals 240% of damage to a single target with a 40% chance to inflict attack down. I don't love the 40% chance. That's a little low, but a 40% attack debuff on the allies is nice. And then Thornbreak, when Veronica's attacked, she increases 35% her turn meter. It can be triggered 1 time per turn. So she does come with a little turn manipulation. My big thought on her is, 1, I love the way she looks. So like if you just want like what I think are the 5 stronger characters to pick, stick with the 5 I mentioned before Veronica. If you want my like sleeper future OP maybe character that I'm really gonna try hard to make work on this beta, this is my like secret pocket pick right here, because stealing an enemy team's buffs and giving them to your team feels like it scales forever. Unless there's a character that does it better than her. This is a mechanic that she has where like the better buffs the enemy team gives themselves, the better buff she has to take away and give to her team. I just think that's awesome. All right, so guys, those are my 5 plus the bonus Veronica for the select summon banner in this Etheria Restart beta. I want to reinforce that I believe this is a beta test, right? This list, I will redo this video before launch of the game, and I will probably have some different characters on there. Part of that will be because characters got a buff. Part of that will be because characters got a nerf, and part of it will be I might just have missed a little bit, right? That's what a beta is for, testing the game out. The devs will adjust some values, they'll make some tweaks to characters, they've already done that, and we will get to see more people trying more team comps, and especially for PvP, metas shift. So we'll see what it's like at launch. That's my thoughts for the beta. Hope you all have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you next time. Peace.